Go.
Go!
Well, that was quite the introduction. All right, everybody, it is HBBac's Caiman and HBBac's Han here again in some 2v2 ladder action. In the bottom right-hand corner, myself is the red Zerg. In the bottom left-hand corner, Han is the blue Terran. And today we are against a mirror team of Elgranuja. I'm sure that means something. And I'm just
RTA and
to
someone with
that.
a really horrible English
Maybe it's Spanish.
word.
Have you thought about that? Maybe
I
it's
mean,
Spanish.
it could be, but it looks like gibberish to me.
Well, yeah, but if there's not, it doesn't matter. And in the upper left-hand corner, RTA, the purple Theron. So this, I won't lie. Against other Zerg players, I get a little tweaked out because I can't block off, and if they decide to rush, although in the last game where somebody decided to rush me, I actually did pretty good.
Let's focus this game.
What's up?
No one wants to hear your life story, dude.
You're a dick. Alright, so...
Oh, he got his started before me.
Down in the bottom, he did. I mean, I don't want to say that he's better, he's just faster.
Hey, listen. Screw you and your pooch.
I've got my my spawning pool down, heading up to the 300 mark, just a little bit faster than Elgranuja's. Elgranuja. That's how I'm pronouncing it. I'm pronouncing it Elgranuja.
I'm gonna call it the other guy. From now on, the other guy is.
Well, you're a jerk.
That other Zerg
So
player.
RTA, he's going. He's got the double barracks going on, which usually actually freaks me out because going up against Bio Terran is by far my worst. I think I've said that a couple of times. But overall, I got my gas going. My plan was, and I actually stuck to my plan this time, was going Roach Hydra, and then into Infestors. And there goes down the Roach Warren. And so I actually stuck with that one, unlike in the last game, where I did not. I deviated from the plan like 30 seconds into the plan. Han has his second racks going down as well as gas. RTA
it's a little late.
Thrown double gas down, but truthfully, I find that unless you need gas
I
away,
did go for that. I think I went for the earlier expand. I'm not entirely sure.
That's fair. I threw down a spine crawler just as a safeguard, and there's a sport crawler that came down from Elgranuja. I'm gonna remember that. Unfortunately, that guy dies. And then he goes for the expand, which this is where, if I'd been scouting, the right way, I would have freaked out. But, I mean, he doesn't have a whole lot coming in as far as army goes. I focused on army over, I guess, the correct way to play the game. And there's your second command center.
Got that. Zeist.
My evolution chamber going down.
Now let's see, I have my second, it's halfway up, got a third barracks going up.
So you and RTA are doing pretty well. You went with the third barracks, he chose the factory. Which, offensively, I would say that the third barracks is better for the earlier game. I mean, which it should be. There's the spine crawler in defense for Elgranuja. I'm sure I'm butchering that. Like, I'm 100% sure that that's not all how that's supposed to be said.
Oh, I know you're butchering it.
Yeah.
Because I have no idea how to pronounce that.
Well, yeah, but you don't speak anything other than American. Alright, so I finally have my expansion going down. Did you say you speak street? You are so white.
I said damn straight.
Oh, damn, I guess that's fair. Now Han is putting up his missile turrets. Because really going against this
I don't want to get dropped.
Especially Zerg versus Zerg. I guess that this is where I thought. Zerg versus Zerg, you really only have a couple of options, and that's Roach Hydra or Ling Muta. And it turns out that we both picked opposite strategies, which in the end was actually pretty good for Han and I. Because I had a big, meaty army, whereas the fast, mobile...
Yeah, well, he also went banelings too, so...
He did. Which is still part of a fast army. And RTA has not expanded yet, which is where we start bringing up that economic advantage.
He has it there, he just, like me, most of the time, about like third bases and even sometimes second bases, I just totally forget about them.
That's fair,
I forget their existence.
That you just gotta play the game more, or, you know...
Yeah, I know. But, hey, I like to keep things, you know, diverse.
Diverse,
like to change it up.
Calling it diverse.
I'm calling it diverse
speed up, which is...
It's really, I just want to play different games.
That's fair. So he has Ling speed up. I jumped straight for 1-1, for 1 on the offense for my roaches. I did not want to go into a Duke fight against another like Roach Hydra army and not have the what's it called? Upgrade advantage? What's it called?
Yeah. Or at least be on even terms if he was going upgrades.
Yeah. I didn't want to be at a disadvantage. So here I'm gonna come down and take this enriched mineral field. And there are Han's Marines and his bunker. And now with the layer up, I didn't realize he really didn't... He went for a macro hatch before getting up that spire. He was defending against Mutalisks. So when I saw that in the beginning, that meant I wasn't going for Mutalisks. Even if that was my plan to begin with, I wasn't going for Mutalisks. Because there was really no point after that not being able to run in there and take the main base. Now we saw that he had a factory and at least one tank out, which is probably good why we delayed our attack. Well, I guess we countered. But this is kind of an older style. As far as I understand Terran, I won't lie, I'm a Zerg player. It's what I do. I don't do Terran. But as far as I understand, the mix with the siege tanks and the Marines is an older style for like Wings of Liberty. There's my
kind of. It was used. It wasn't used a lot because you had to upgrade the siege mode in Wings of Liberty.
Was it Brood War?
It actually became more viable, and people started doing it a lot more in, you know, HOTS because, you know, you could just pump them out and throw them into siege mode.
I guess that's fair. That does make more sense. So he went for the big macro hatch, which is good for having larvae, but if you don't have the income to support it, and not that he doesn't, he's at 25 workers when there should be 24, and 15 to 24 down there. And this is where we see that the spire goes up, and I immediately had thrown down spore crawlers. Han already had all of his
actually, I only had those 3 there.
Well, that's more than enough, because that's the angle that most likely he'll come in from.
Yeah.
With his Mutalisks. But for right now, it's actually been a fairly peaceful game overall. Got all my roaches.
Yeah. Everyone's probably like sitting there and watch this and be sitting there bored out of their mind like, oh, I don't know what they're doing, but it's boring.
Like, so they're sitting here. Great. Yeah. Kind of. Which... in the end turned out to be okay, for us anyways. Without having that other expansion, either in the back or coming out here, which I would have seen, or even out over here, we were starting to pick up the major macro advantage, which is really what half the name of the game was. Now, Elgranuja, I'm going to have to like look at the name every time I go to pronounce that, and I are both, as you can see, super bad at having keeping up with our injections on our queens. Wow, he's really... and finally the Baneling nest comes up. Does he have any... and he just was not doing upgrades, which suited me just fine. suited us just fine. And was RTA. RTA, he had at least one attack on his Marines.
Infantry and
Yeah.
the combat shield, because he has some marauders out as well.
How do you tell the combat shield? I can never tell. So when I'm working, and I finally at some point figure out that I should probably do more than one upgrade at a time.
I actually thought that
considering
this
my
was a
army.
really good place. You know, maybe I could have moved it over to the right a little bit more, putting up that sensor tower there.
Yeah, no, and that actually helped out because when they first started coming out was when we
Let's see.
we prepared for their
Yeah, if I moved
attack.
it over a little bit more, I would have been able to see that the majority of that opening there.
Yeah, but it wasn't.
But
It wasn't
you know,
bad.
it did kind of force him to come down the right side.
Yeah.
Just
Though
saying.
by that point, because I was doing actually really good at my creep spread. I was very happy with myself. I got my second evolution chamber going up there. And you're working on your first attack upgrade for your Marines. Where's your armory?
Yep.
You don't have an armory up yet?
Pardon?
You don't have an armory up yet?
No,
I mean, that's fair.
I was busy
We're
focusing
really,
on like trying to keep everything going.
I mean, it worked.
So let's see.
Oops, my mouse freaked out.
Yeah, I mean, I got
there's a
one
lot of
up. I
lanes.
just
Suddenly a lot of, I guess it's not a lot of banelings, but there's a good number of banelings. It was a total of 24 roaches and 10 hydralisks, accompanying 44 marines, 5 siege tanks, and 6 medevacs, going up against 15 mutalisks, 18 banelings, and 76 zerglings, accompanied by 24, that's definitely a 7, 27 marines, 5 marauders, 3 siege tanks, 3 Thors, and 2 mutalisks.
yeah, but we haven't
So-
gone out yet. It's going to be a
No,
little
we
bit before
haven't,
head.
but we were keeping par. I would say we had a fairly decent mix in our armies. At least for me, the big scales tipped when I started. He was going to go for Swarm Host. Usually what I go for. The scales tipped with the infestors.
Yeah, right.
At least
and-
as far as
But if we
going
look
up.
at other Terran, he has more upgrades. You know, he doesn't have the stim, but he has the 1/1 for armor
everything.
and weapons, and then the +1 for his vehicles.
Which was overall okay, because I was working on my 2-2s. Well, 3-2s, I guess, depending. Yeah, I was working on my 3-2s. And that was the big thing. The Terran, or the Zerg player, wow, Elgranuja, had one upgrade for his Mutalisks. That was it. Which I guess is one of those quality, or quantity over quality.
Yeah.
So the infestors, as far as going up Zerg to Zerg, and then I'll let Han speak of the Terran to Terran that we had going. Zerg to Zerg, with the infestors, the scales tipped in my favor. It was going to be a tough fight. Zerg to Terran, with what I had compared to what RTA had, that was going to be kind of a much. I feel like that was going to be much closer, even though the numbers were overwhelmingly in Elgranuja's favor.
Yeah, and for the Terran, he definitely had the advantage on me, because he had gotten stim out, and he had, 1/1s for everything, his infantry and his vehicles. I was working on my 2 for my attack for the infantry and 1 for the defense, and his defense is now 2. So.
And now this is where it starts to get where we have to move out and start battling.
Yeah.
That queen lost. It happens. I wasn't really worried about it, all things considered. And he's going to take down all of my creep, which was fine because we'd already seen the army coming. I had my my roaches and hydralisk placed up front, infestors coming up behind it.
You should have held your guys back more so my siege tanks could have started hitting them.
They could have. I knew that I'd won that battle based on mostly unit composition, and the fact that he was attacking alone versus the two of us, so I really wasn't worried overall about that. And it's one of those, it would have been advantageous for me to have pulled back so your siege tanks could have just blasted the hell out of all of those lings, but again, not worried. And this is where we start our big push in.
Yeah. And
I needed, my army got demolished. Thank goodness I had friends.
Yes.
And really, I need to work on
like the reason
chaining my...
I pulled them back was to get my tanks up more, you know, move the tanks up more, be able to deal with their stuff.
And I really should have right here thrown out a whole bunch of, instead of fungal growthing again and again and again, well, and I didn't even do it again and again and again, and all my infestors died, so that kind of sucked. But what I should have done was thrown out a whole bunch of infested Terrans. Now this is where we start
and this is, again, like,
hairy.
I didn't like having those out there with him being able to produce so many Zerglings.
Though it would have been fine because your siege tanks would have just blasted them all to hell. Now,
True.
The issue was here we were actually having an argument because I wanted to push forward and just win the game, and then there was a sudden realization of like, hey, BT Dubs, he can pull out a whole bunch of Mutalisks, even though he didn't make any more Mutalisks. Which I find interesting considering that he could have just made like 13, 14 just right off the bat. And Lord knows that he had, I guess he only had 11 larvae. But at this point, now we can really crank forward. And this really, again, it comes down to an economy thing that I'd had 3 bases up forever. Now I got to chase it down. My Hydralisk I left in the back, strictly to go up against any Mutalisk that might show up.
Yeah, but then I started getting a good flow of Marines in there.
Yeah, so then we could just march forward.
Yeah.
So
and this
many
kind of
banelings
sucks
he's got
because
coming. He's got so many banelings coming. Oh Lord. Please tell me that all your tanks took those out. I didn't see this part of the battle beforehand.
Yeah,
good grief.
Yeah, I lost a lot right there.
Oh.
Actually, I lost everything.
Yeah, I didn't realize that everything died right then. His 2 banelings are going to try to take out my Hydralisk. But that was kind of upsetting, actually. I don't know why. I didn't see that part of the battle. I thought it was just like, oh, Humpty Dumpty, you marched in there and killed him. Siege mode, siege tanks. Oh, gosh, they just annihilated all those banelings. Oh, no, there's 4 of them made it through. 1 tank went down. Okay.
Yeah.
So while Han is over here now working on the Zerg player, which overall was okay, and he ended up leaving, I was over here taking on Terran. So there we divided, we conquered, and ended up winning the games for ourselves. So that was we've actually had a pretty good set of games today. So that was I guess the Caiman Han way of doing it. Cool. Any last words?
Yeah.
Han?
Don't look a gift horse in the mouth.
Don't look a gift.
Take the
horse.
victories for what they're worth.
On that gem, later days.